Good evening, Erev Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Very delighted to have you all with us this evening. It's a beautiful evening, unlike last week. Lots of rain, lots of miserable weather. Today, at least, a lot of humidity, but nevertheless, we're going to get away from that humidity and welcome in Shabbat. We're going to begin with the words of Ki Yishmera Shabbat El Yishmereni. When I keep Shabbat, Shabbat keeps me. It is a sign between me and the Almighty forever and ever, for all time. Ki yishmera Shabbat el yishmereni, ki yishmera Shabbat el yishmereni, oti li'ol mehayad beino uveini, oti li'ol mehayad beino uveini, ki yishmera Shabbat el yishmereni, ki yishmera Shabbat El Yishmereni, Otilio Meyad Beino Veni, Otilio Meyad Beino Veni. Written by the famous commentator Ibn Ezra, by the way. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bachem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Baruch hu ni l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Tzedchem l'shalom malachei hashalom malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Psalm number 95. Lechu neranina, lechu neranina, lechu neranina ladonai, lechu neranina, lechu neranina, lechu neranina ladonai, naria, naria, litzor yishenu nikadma fanav bitoda, naria, naria, litzor yishenu Bizmirot nariyallah, lechuneranina, 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 ladonai, lechuneranina, 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 ladonai. Let's do a psalm we haven't done. Psalm number 97, one of the preliminary psalms that leads us into L'cha Dodi, are the words of Or Zaru Alad Tzaddik Ul Yishrei Lev Simcha. Light is sown for the righteous, and joy for the upright in heart. And I know that this evening, because it is Shabbat, we are all upright in heart. Or Zaru Alad Tzaddik Ul Yishrei Lev Simcha. Or Zaru Alad Tzaddik Ul Yishrei Lev Simcha, Or Zaru Alad Tzaddik Ul Yishrei Lev Simcha, Or Zaru Alad Tzaddik Ul Yishrei Lev Simcha. Simechu tzadikim Adonai, avehodu lezecher kodsho. Exalt in the Lord, O you righteous, and give thanks to God's holy name with Psalm number 99. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehare kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehare kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Number of people have asked me about the nigunim and the tunes that we use, and asked if, are there uniform tunes for various parts of the service? And the answer is, for some there is, but actually lots of the parts of the service we do are preliminary parts, which were not originally part of the formal service. This part is Kabbalat Shabbat, which had been constructed in Tzfat, in Safed, in the 16th century by the Kabbalists, and they would bring in the Sabbath with psalms, and then, of course, with a song, with the very famous song of Lecha Dodi, when they would go into the field and greet Shabbat as if going out to greet a bride. In other words, that the God, it's a marriage between us and God, and when we observe Shabbat, Shabbat is the bride, and that's what they would do in a metaphoric sense, the Kabbalists. They would go out into the field and greet Shabbat. It was a beautiful setting, especially, now I can only imagine going out to a beautiful field and greeting Shabbat. It's something we should picture as we do that. So there are many tunes, and especially for Lecha Dodi, by the way, a number of settings, probably at least 100 settings have been composed for Lecha Dodi. And we're going to do one of them, which is actually, I believe it's a Breslov Nigun, a Breslov tune, which I don't think we've done it before, but we're going to do it. It's a very meditative tune, which will enable us to picture ourselves meditating in the field and greeting Shabbat. Yadadai Shamor v'Zochor b'diborechad Hishmiyanu El Hamyuchad Adonai Echad U'Shemo Echad L'Shem Tiferet V'Litila Yadadai 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 Lecha Dodi Yadadai 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 Lihikrat Kala Yadadai Yadadai Pnei Shabbat Yadadai lihikabelam Yadadai lihikrat Shabbat lechu v'nelecha ki mekor haberacha merosh mikedem nisucha Sof Maseh b'machshavat tchilat Yadadai Lecha Dodi Yadadai Lihikrat Kala Penei Shabbat. Now the final stanza. Bo'i v'shalom means come now, Shabbat, the divine day. Come enjoy, let your brightness shine. Come to the people which greets you with pride. Come now in peace, O Shabbat bride. Bo'i v'shalom, ateret ba'ala, gam b'simecha uv'tzola, yararai toch emunei, gam segrula, bo'i chala, Bo'i chala, yadadai, dadadai, 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 yadadai, lecha dodi, yadadai, dadadai, 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 likrat kala. Yadadai, dadadai, 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 penei Shabbat. Yadadai, dadadai, 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 nikabela. What a wonderful way to usher in Shabbat. At this time, we are going to turn to the watchword of our faith, words of Shema Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'yahaveh et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha v'chol nafshecha v'chol me'odecha v'hayu advarim ha'ele asher achi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinanatam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha v'eitecha v'lechtecha v'aderech uv'shoch v'chav kumecha Ukshartam laot al yadecha v'hayu l'totafot bein einecha uchtav tam al mizuzot beitecha uvisharecha. Now, words of an adaptation from Hashkivenu. Help us, O God, to lie down in peace. Protect us with your love as we sleep. Lighten our burdens and soften our hurts. Restore our bodies and refresh our souls. May we rest secure and untroubled and arise with confidence to the challenges of a new day. O guardian of Israel, who neither slumbers nor sleeps, shelter us and our people in your tabernacle of peace. Words of Vishamru. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat l'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berehit olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat l'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berehit olam. Bein uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti al yalam, oti bili olam, v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית olam. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית olam. We rejoice in the Sabbath day. Yismechu b'malechutecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu b'malechutecha, shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Mekadishei, mekadishei shevi Shabbat kulam. Yisbiu v'tangdu mituvecha Shabbat yismechu v'malechutecha shomrei 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 Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat v'hashevi ratzita bo v'kidashto Shabbat Chemdat yamim otakarahata zecher lemase bereshit Shabbat yismechu v'malechutecha shomrei 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 Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Let's take a moment for silent prayer and meditation. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable unto you, O God, my rock and my redeemer. So, I was thinking about this week's Torah portion. It reminded me of a film. Some of you may have seen it. It was quite an obscure film, but with some famous actors and actresses in it. The name of it was called Advice and Dissent. You should Google it. If you haven't seen it, you ought to see it. Can teach you some powerful lessons. Not a very lengthy film, by the way, but very fascinating nevertheless. And the story went like this, that after 5 years in a very bad marriage, Jeffrey Goldman, who was played by John Pankow, and his wife, Ellen, also played by someone very famous, I don't remember who, they reached a crossroads. The woman would like to salvage their relationship by having a child, and he wanted to end it with a nice, clean divorce. And when she refuses, Jeffrey has to resort to other means. And he learns about a very famous Hasidic rabbi who was played in this case by Eli Wallach, who was a very famous actor, who was known, in the movie that is, as a legendary miracle worker. And people from all over the world would come to meet the rabbi to get his blessing, whether it was to be healed, whether it was for a livelihood, whether it was to meet the love of your life, etc. So Goldman went through great lengths to meet with this rabbi, and finally he gets an appointment with the rabbi, and he tells the rabbi about a very strange request that is a bit unconventional. He requests that the rabbi curse his wife so that his wife should die. Can you imagine such a thing? What a terrible thing. That's a request from an important rabbi. What chutzpah. The rabbi, of course, was shocked. Who wouldn't be? So he tells Goldman, you know what? He was a very patient rabbi, and he says, there's one catch. There's one catch that I want you to know about. According to Jewish tradition, if one makes a neder, a vow, and fails to make good on his promise, his wife will die. And Goldman then proceeds to make a huge pledge at a small local synagogue that was looking to expand its operation. And a week went by, and a month went by, and Goldman had still not written the check. And the rabbi called him up and said to Goldman, is it possible you can write the check? We've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and we've relied upon you in order to make progress with constructing our edifice. And Goldman says, well, April Fool's Day. And he says, I said I would do it. I would, I know I promised this, but I was fooling you all along. And then Goldman expects the curse to take effect, that his wife would die, because it's exactly what the rabbi told him. So he's waiting, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, finally wait. Long time, nothing happens. Nothing happens. The curse does not take effect. So he goes back to the famous rabbi, the miracle worker, and he says, what's going on here? You tell me, you give me this advice, and it doesn't work. And the rabbi says to him, you don't understand. For the curse to work, you have to love your wife. Now, I'm not going to give you the ending of the movie, because then, I spoil all the fun. But I'm sure you can use your imagination and figure out what happens at the end of the movie. This is important. Why? Because the Torah portion, we have two Torah portions, Matot, Maaseh, but Matot, it deals with vows. It deals with the laws, the intricate details about making a vow. And in fact, the Talmud, Tractate Shabbat 32b, it says the following. It says that God takes away the wife and children of someone who fails to fulfill a vow. Now, this is a very puzzling statement. So, in fact, the movie was based on an accurate statement in the Talmud, but I'm sure you're bothered by this statement in the Talmud, because who wouldn't be? It's quite puzzling. How can the sages of the Talmud say that a person who sinned through unfulfilled vows deserves to have his wife and children taken from him? And how can it be that one's wife and children are responsible for the vow that this person made? How can such a thing even be possible? Okay, so now I'm sure for some of you, you're intrigued. For some of you, maybe your blood is boiling. But I want to point to one of the important commentators who says the following. He points out the following in this Talmudic statement. He says it's not to be taken literally, but rather it emphasizes the power inherent in words, particularly of a promise. One needs to take a vow so seriously that it should be as if the life of a loved one is at stake. Okay, if human life is at stake, that's why, by the way, the first thing we say on Yom Kippur when we come into shul, we say Kol Nidre. We want to nullify vows that we made, promises that we made that we were unable to keep. That is the very first thing we say on Yom Kippur when our life is on the line. It's important to note. It's in the book of Proverbs, it says, life and death are in the power of the tongue. In other words need to be taken very, very seriously. Somebody promises to do something. If we make a commitment, we need to make those commitments in good faith. We need to make a vow in good faith. A neder has to be made in good faith. If there are doubts about it being fulfilled, we have to be mindful of that. Of course, there's always nullifying the vow. Of course, we can do that as well, but it's something that's very important. Words in general are very, very important, and that's what it is trying to tell you. The words and how we use words are of the utmost importance. So with that, there's a famous teaching in Pirkei Avot, in Ethics of the Fathers. It says, Emor ma'at va'aseh harbe, promise little, but do a lot. And who taught that? That was taught by the famous sage Shammai. This famous song about it, I'll sing it very briefly. Promise little, do a lot is the lesson Shammai taught. Empty words are not the proper things to say. Cut the talk and get right to it. Go ahead and do it. Emor ma'at va'aseh harbe. So I hope that this will also inspire each one of us, that if there's something we're thinking of doing, something that's great, something that's worthwhile, let's not procrastinate. Let's not think too hard about it. If it's something good, something we really want to accomplish, let's go ahead and do it. Let's not make commitments and, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. A famous comedian once said, he said, always put off what you can do today for tomorrow because tomorrow may never come. It was sarcasm. So I think that's important. Commitments, words are of the utmost value in Jewish tradition. And we also learn, sometimes we find in the text hyperbole. And when you see such hyperbole, you need to dig very deeply, shovel a little bit, shovel and dig deeply for the lesson that is inherent in those various statements. Those words, by the way, are also constructed very carefully, but they're constructed to give us important lessons on how to lead our lives. Speaking of words, I did promise someone to wish a happy birthday. I want to wish a happy birthday to AJ. Mazal Tov, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach. Yom Huledet Sameach, Mazel Tov, AJ, happy birthday to you. Continue to give your parents lots of nachat. How old are you? All right, I guess you'll tell us a different time. Mazel Tov, are there any other smachot, any other joyous occasions that are happening that you want to key in or make note of? Okay, if not, then not. That's fine as well. Okay, let's make the Misha Berach for all those who are ill. That's the prayer for healing. Misha Berach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yakov Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah Hu Yivarech Rapet HaCholim V'et HaCholot. If you have names of people who are ill, please mention those names. I'm going to mention Ludmila Belenkaya, Sharon Resnick, Diane D'Angelo, Huddle Bas Taiba. Any others, please mention the name. I also want to mention the famous religious rap artist, Nissim Black, who was hospitalized. Want to wish him a refuah shalema. And if there are any other names that you would like to wish refuah shalema to, please, by all means, please do that. Okay, refuat hanefesh, haguf, hashal b'galav zman kariv, and omar amen. May the Holy One who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bring blessing and healing to all those who are ill, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say amen. At this time, I want to mention those who have gone to their eternal home recently. Moshe Eliezer Ben Yaakov, also Charles Eisenstein, Robert Bloom, Cecile Matzner. Are there any additional names? Please feel free to mention them at this time. May the giver of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort all the bereaved among us, and to that we say amen. Yahaseh shalom, Yahaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Yahaseh shalom, Yahaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Want to mention this week on Wednesday, that is the first day, the Rosh Chodesh. It's the first day of the Hebrew month of Av. That is the most tragic month on the Jewish calendar. It ushers in 9 days, the first 9 days up until Tisha B'Av, till 9th of Av, which is a fast day. It's a period of mourning, no weddings, no taking haircuts. Many have the custom of refraining from eating meat, from drinking wine. There are some other things as well, and it is a sad time. We'll devote next week's broadcast to that, to Tisha B'Av, to talking about the tragic month and the tragic day and how we can come to terms with that as Jews and as human beings. So we look forward to that next week. I want to conclude. We had a request. As I mentioned to you, there are a number of tunes that have been composed to all kinds of liturgical pieces. And of course, Adon Olam has hundreds of tunes. And one of them that has been requested is the Adon Olam to the tune of Hamilton. Haven't done it in a long time, but we'll try to do it and make the best of it. So I want to thank the person for making that request, and we'll certainly do that. Adon olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra li'et nasa b'chefzo kol azai melech shemo nikra v'yacharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora v'hu hayam v'hu haveh v'hu yeh b'tifara Adon olam asher malach yai da 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 yai da 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 yai da 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 v'hu echad v'yehin sheheni lahamshilo lahach bihira b'li reshit b'li tachlit v'lo ha'oz v'hamisra Adon olam asher malach yai da 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 yai da 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 v'hu eli v'chai goali v'tzorchev li b'yet tzara v'hu nisim u'manoslim minat kosi b'yom ekra Adon olam asher malach yai da 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 yai da 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 b'yado af ki hidruchim V'yeti shan v'ya'ira v'yimruchim v'yati Adonai li v'lo ira Adon olam asher malach yai da 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 yai da 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 da. Wishing everyone a Shabbat Shalom, a Shabbat of peace. And by the way, this week we conclude the book of Numbers, the book of Bamidbar, with the Torah portions of Ma'atot, Ma'aseh, and we conclude with the words, Chazak, Chazak, Vinit Chazek, be strong, and may we be strengthened. And yes, indeed, yeah, thank you so much. Absolutely, we'll be back. Absolutely, in the words of Hamilton. What a great thank you so much for that. And we wish you all a Shabbat Shalom and great blessings. And yes, indeed, we'll be back. Shabbat Shalom. B'surot tovot. May we share only good news. Thank you.